Hello, welcome to Biology for You. In this video, we are going to discuss types of DNA polymerases in prokaryotes. In the series of videos, we have been discussing different concepts in molecular biology. So, in this video, we are going to have what are the different types of DNA polymerases present in prokaryotes. So, there are many types of DNA polymerases in prokaryotes. DNA polymerase 1, 2, 3 are the major DNA polymerases, and apart from these three, there are also DNA polymerase 4 and 5. So basically, the numbering has given according to the sequence of their discovery. So basically, DNA polymerase 1 is the first enzyme to be identified. So DNA polymerase 1 is the first enzyme that was identified. It was identified in the year of 1956 by the scientist called Arthur Kornberg, and he got Nobel Prize in the year of 1959. So even though it was first isolated and identified and characterized enzyme, but it is not a main replicative enzyme. So majorly the DNA polymerase 1 is an enzyme which is encoded by gene called Pol A gene. So this is the gene responsible for encoding the protein called DNA polymerase 1, and it is a single peptide enzyme. So the single polypeptide consists of 928 amino acids, and the molecular weight of DNA polymerase 1 is 928. The molecular weight is 109 kilodaltons. And as we already discussed, it is not a main replicative enzyme. Why it is not a main replicative enzyme? Because of its low processivity. So it is having low processivity, less processive enzyme. So what do you mean by low processivity? So basically, it can only synthesize small stretches of DNA. It cannot synthesize very large DNAs because of its low processivity. That means the processivity is the factor that indicates the number of nucleotides that are incorporated during the process of replication before the replicative enzyme is dissociates. That means how many nucleotides it can incorporate in a DNA in a single stretch. So the processivity of the DNA polymerase is less, because of which it cannot act as main replicative enzyme. So it can only synthesize small stretches of DNA. So this is actually helpful during DNA repair or gap filling. So the major function of DNA polymerase is gap filling. That means the gaps that are produced in the lagging strand are going to be filled, or nick translation will be carried by this DNA polymerase 1. So these two are the major functions, nick translation and the gap filling. So basically it is having three major functions. So one is 5' to 3' polymerase activity, and 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, and 5' to 3' exonuclease activity. So this polymerase 1 have three active sites. So 3 active sites has 3 major functions. One is 5' to 3' polymerase activity, which is responsible for the DNA synthesis, replication. So this is the activity which really helpful to fill the gaps and even for the repairing the DNA. And 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. What is this 3' to 5' exonuclease activity? So as the DNA will be synthesized in 5' to 3' direction. So if this is the template, the newly synthesized DNA will be carried in the direction of 5' to 3'. So if any wrong nucleotide that is being added in the growing DNA chain, that will occupy the 3' terminal position, and it may base pair with the nucleotide present in the template. But based on the conformations, the base pairing conformations, the DNA polymerase 1 is able to identify the mismatch, and then making phosphodiester bond. After making phosphodiester bond, it can cleave this phosphodiester bond from 3' to 5' direction. That means it scans the DNA, that is newly synthesizing DNA, from 3' to 5' direction, so that newly incorporated mismatched nucleotides can be removed from the growing chain. So that is what the 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. This is opposite to the main replication activity of the 5' to 3'. So that the newly synthesized, the newly incorporated mismatched nucleotides can be removed by this. And what is 5' to 3' exonuclease activity? So here, as the DNA is being synthesized, there are primers, one primer in the leading strand and many of such primers in the lagging strand. So these primers must be removed to get a continuous stretch of DNA. So for that, this 5' to 3' activity is helpful. It scans the DNA from 5' to 3' and remove all its primers. That is what the 5' to 3' activity of the 5' to 3' exonuclease activity of the DNA polymerase 1, which is responsible for the removal of primers. So this 5' to 3' polymerase activity responsible for replication, or we can say synthesis of small stretches of the DNA. And this 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, as we already discussed, removes the mismatches from the synthesizing region. That means it is a part of proofreading activity of the DNA polymerase. And coming to the 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, that is for primer removal. So basically, if we treat DNA polymerase 1 enzyme with protease enzyme called subtilisin, so this is the enzyme that breaks the protein, we can find two segments. So C-terminal fragment and the N-terminal fragment. The C-terminal fragment is large, which is having 68 kilodaltons and is known as Klenow fragment. So this Klenow fragment will retains two of its activities. So two activities will be remain with the Klenow fragment after we treat polymerase 1 with subtilisin enzyme. So this 5' to 3' polymerase activity and 3' to 5' exonuclease activity will be remain with the Klenow fragment, which is C-terminal fragment, and the N-terminal fragment retains the 5' to 3' exonuclease activity. So this is the small fragment. So this is what all about the DNA polymerase 1. Coming to the other DNA polymerases, DNA polymerase 2. DNA polymerase 2 is also not a main replicating polymerase. So basically DNA polymerase 2 is the second enzyme to be isolated from the from prokaryotes, and it is identified by scientist called Thomas Kornberg, and it is encoded by the gene called POL-B, and the molecular weight of DNA polymerase 2 is 89.9 kilodaltons, and it is also a single polypeptide. Peptide with 728 amino acids. So single polypeptide with 728 amino acids. So it is also a slow processivity enzyme, and hence which it cannot act as a main replicative enzyme. Low processive enzyme, and basically it is having two major functions. So one is 5', 3' exonuclease activity, and 3' to 5', this is polymerase activity, and exonuclease activity. So these two are the functions carried by two active sites present in the DNA polymerase 2 enzyme. So basically 5' to 3' polymerase activity is responsible for the DNA synthesis, small stretches of DNA, and 3' to 5' exonuclease activity is to remove nucleotides from 3' to 5' direction. So this is again a proofreading activity, but generally DNA replication needs the this kind of activity for repairing the damages. So generally during the process of replication there is a chance of incorporation of wrong nucleotides, or DNA may be damaged by some DNA damaging agents, maybe chemical mutagens or something, even UV radiation. There are many kinds of mutagens that can cause damage in the DNA. So that damage need to be repaired. Otherwise it may lead to consequences, hazardous consequences, like that may lead to the cancers if in case of eukaryotes. Otherwise that mutants that cause the DNA damage may responsible for the loss of integrity of the genome. So because of that, the damage in the DNA need to be repaired as soon as it got discovered. So that kind of DNA repair can be carried by DNA repairing enzymes, and DNA polymerase 2 is one of such enzyme. So basically whenever it finds it finds the damage in the DNA replication will be stalled. That means the DNA polymerase enzyme, which is actually replicating the DNA, will be stalled at that replication fork, and that kind of damage, it stops the DNA replication and it allows the DNA polymerase to dissociate from the replication fork. So after main replicating enzyme got dissociates from the replication fork, DNA repairing enzymes will be employed there, and they repair the DNA and again allow the DNA main replicative enzyme to continue the synthesis of new strand. So that is how the DNA repair will be carried. So this DNA polymerase 2 is one of such DNA repairing enzyme. So coming to the DNA polymerase 3. So this DNA polymerase 3 is the enzyme that is involved in, this is also discovered by Thomas Kornberg, and the gene, this is basically a multi-subunit enzyme. So there are many subunits. And overall the holoenzyme molecular weight is nearly 900 kilodaltons. It is not a single peptide enzyme unlike Pol A, Pol 1 and Pol 2, but it is a multi-subunit enzyme and it is having high processivity. It can incorporate some thousands of nucleotides per second. That is the rate of its replication, and so high rate of replication. So it is very highly effective enzyme which has high processivity. That means the number of nucleotides that are going to be added before it dissociates from the replication fork is very much high. That is high processivity enzyme, as well as the rate of replication, that means the number of nucleotides that are going to be incorporated in the growing chain per second is also high. So these two are the main characteristic features of the DNA polymerase 3 that makes it as a main replicative enzyme. So the major activity of this DNA polymerase 3 is 5' to 3' polymerase activity. So as we already discussed, it is a multi-subunit enzymes, and the subunits includes alpha, epsilon, theta. So these three subunits forms the core enzyme. So this core enzyme including three subunits alpha, epsilon and theta, and these three subunits including they combined to form this core enzyme which is responsible for the main replicative activity of the DNA polymerase 3. So these are responsible for making phosphodiester bonds and the replication to proceed, and the other subunits are beta subunit which acts as a clamp, sliding clamp. So what is the function of sliding clamp? Sliding clamp is the part of enzyme which actually holds the DNA tightly, so that as the DNA replication proceeds, once after the DNA polymerase is attached with the DNA, so this beta clamp will go and bind with two single strands of the DNA, and it will not allow the core enzyme to dissociate from the fork, so that the processivity factor is the beta clamp. That means it attach with the DNA tightly and holds the core enzyme in the place. So that is what the sliding clamp is. It slides along the DNA fork. And the other part of the enzyme is gamma complex. So this gamma complex is the basically it is also a combination of subunits which makes the clamp loader. So it acts as a clamp loader. That means this gamma complex is responsible for the loading of the beta clamp. So beta subunit onto the two single-stranded DNAs present at the DNA fork, so that the beta clamp holds the core enzyme at the right place. So this gamma clamp is a clamp loader that allow the beta clamp to load and unload whenever the time comes, and this include delta, psi, chi, gamma and tau. These 5 subunits together make this gamma complex, and this gamma complex is a clamp loader that loads the beta clamp. That beta clamp is responsible for holding the core enzyme at the replicative fork so that it will continue the polymerization. So because of the presence of beta clamp, it is having high processivity. It will not easily dissociate. This core enzyme will not easily dissociate from the DNA polymerization. So it is having high processivity, hence it can act as a main replicative enzyme. So this is all about the DNA polymerase 3, and we are back to DNA polymerase 4 and 5. So basically these DNA polymerase 4 and 5 are the minor enzymes. So, and these two are majorly involved in the repair. So DNA polymerase 2 is also involved in the DNA repair system, and DNA polymerase 4 and 5 are also involved in the DNA repairs. So basically DNA polymerase 4 is encoded by DIN-B gene, and DNA polymerase 5 is encoded from the operon of UMU-DC. So this is responsible for the synthesis of DNA polymerase 5, and DIN-B gene is responsible for the synthesis of DNA polymerase 4. So basically what is the importance of these DNA polymerase 4 and 5? So basically these are the enzymes involved in translation replication. So what is translation replication? So if there is a lesion or maybe a DNA damage that occurs, that present in there is a major damage, not a simple mismatch. There is a major damage that present in the DNA, and the DNA replication is being carried. So if the DNA, as the DNA replication fork proceeds through this DNA damage, it halts the replicosome. So the replisome will be stopped because of the presence of damage over here. So there it dissociates from the replication, and because of the presence of damage it no more available, or because of the presence of damage present in the DNA, it no longer able to replicate the DNA. So what will happen? Somehow this must be repaired. So there must be some other kind of enzymes that can allow the replication proceeds through this damage. So that is what the translation replication is. The translation replication machinery allows the DNA replication to proceed through the damage. Despite of presence of DNA damage, they allow the nucleotides to be added in the growing chain. So basically, these two systems are error-prone replication systems. So because of some damages cannot be repaired, so that the DNA replication must be carried without repairing them. So there is a chance of incorporation of errors, that means mismatches here and there. So that kind of error prone replication will be carried by DNA 4 and 5. So what is the benefit of having errors in the DNA? So basically they cause mutations in the DNA, and that is the major source for evolution of the bacteria. So if there is any major damage present in the DNA, the replication cannot be proceeded, and it will comes under translation replication, and that proceeds that majorly try to make the DNA to be repaired at first. That means at early stage it will try to repair the DNA as much as possible, and at late stage the errors are allowed. So this is at early stage, it is error free. The translation replication is error free, but at the late stage it is error prone. That means maybe a wrong nucleotide per one wrong nucleotide per 100 correct nucleotides. So 1 in 100, the maximum possibility of making errors would be, by the error prone repair, would be 1 in 100, and DNA 4 polymerase 4 and 5 are error prone, and that is the major cause of evolution of the bacteria. So all this comes under SOS repair. So these are the parts of SOS repair, and they known to have binding sites for LEX-A protein. So this LEX-A protein is part of SOS repair system, and which is involved in the translational repair. So this is all about the DNA polymerase 4 and 5, and which are majorly involved in the DNA repair, and this is translational replication. We call it as a translational replication, and these are part of SOS repair system, and they have binding site for LEX-A protein. So here in this video we discussed DNA polymerase 1, which is basically a gap filling enzyme, and DNA polymerase 2 major repairing enzyme, and DNA polymerase 3 which is major replicating enzyme, and the DNA polymerase 4 and 5 which are involved in translational replication. So this is all about the DNA different types of DNA polymerases present in prokaryotes. Hope you understand this concept, and if you like, share and subscribe to my channel, and press bell icon for the further notifications.